Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about split stays. So a split stay in Disney World is when you are staying in, well, I guess when you have two different reservations, hotel reservations for the same trip. So usually this is when somebody is staying in a different room or a hotel in each part of their trip. Now we have done several split stays, so I think I've kind of gotten to be an expert about them. So I thought I would let you know everything that I have to offer, all my tips. So first, why would people do a split stay? It might be because of availability, and it might be because they want to experience multiple hotels, either by choice just because they're interested or to save money. So if somebody wants to try a deluxe resort but they can't afford to stay there for their entire trip, they might stay at a value or moderate resort for the first portion and then move on to a deluxe resort for the second portion. Or somebody might stay in a different room. So for example, if you were staying at the Contemporary and you wanted to stay the first few days in the garden wing and then the last few days of your trip in the tower, that would be another reason to do a split stay. Now, what confuses this a little bit is what to do about tickets. And that is something that as a Disney travel agent, I can help you with. That is actually the first reason I started using Magical Journeys, is because I was going to do a split stay and I didn't know what to do about tickets and how that worked, because your tickets are linked to your hotel reservation, but the more days you have on your ticket, the less expensive it is. So if you break down the ticket cost, it's not going to be the best deal to, if you're staying for 8 nights total, 4 nights at each hotel, it's not going to be the best deal to have 4-day tickets and 4-day tickets. It would be the best deal to have 8-day tickets. So I can help guests figure out what is best for them. And like sometimes if there's a discount offer, that can throw a wrench in the plans because some of them require the purchase of tickets. So it can get kind of confusing. So that is what I also help my clients with. So what are some of the logistics of doing a split stay? What do you need to know? Well, when you're going from your first hotel to your next hotel, assuming you're switching hotels, because that's usually the case, you cannot bring luggage on Disney transportation. So say you stayed at Pop Century for the first few days and you're transferring to the Contemporary, it might make sense to you to take a bus from Pop Century to the Magic Kingdom and then just walk from the Magic Kingdom to the Contemporary. You can't do that. You can't bring your suitcase on the Disney buses that are other than Magical Express. So there are a couple of options. If you want Disney to transport your luggage, the last time I did this, I think it's different for each hotel, but the last time I did that, you had to have your luggage down to Bell Services by, I think it was 2 p.m. the day prior. So if I'm switching hotels on Friday, I had to have my luggage down to Bell Services by 2 p.m. on Thursday for them to transfer to the second hotel. And that really is not practical for most people. And then you're just not going to use your things until it arrives at your second hotel. So if you are not renting a car, well, if you are renting a car, or if you drove, just transport it yourself, I would say. Otherwise, take a taxi or Lyft or something to that effect. I think it's worth the extra cost to actually have your things with you. Now, what we do, we'll typically check out of our first resort in the morning. We'll pack everything up. We'll be ready to head out to the parks. We'll drive our bags over, because we typically rent a car. We'll drive our bags over to the second hotel, bring them to Bell Services and just say, hey, we're checking in today, but we want to get to the parks. Can you just hang on to them? And they will. And then we leave the bags with them and go to the park. Go to the first park of the day. We always have park hoppers. We go to the first park of the day from there. And then when we come back to the hotel in the afternoon, which we always do for a rest or a swim, that is when we will collect our luggage from Bell Services and check in to the hotel. That seems to be by far the easiest. And in case you're wondering, like my husband was, why don't we just leave our luggage in the car? A lot of times we have food that you wouldn't want to just leave in your car, and they do have a refrigerated area that they can keep it in at the hotel. Additionally, it is very hot in Florida. I would not want to leave my spray cans of sunscreen in a car that's going to be over 120 degrees and then risk it exploding. So I always just move my things to Bell Services for the sake of not having exploding products in my bags when it's that hot. So that's why we do it, and rather than keeping things in our car. Now, if I was going in, say, January and the high temperature was 70 degrees, maybe I would just leave it in that case if I didn't have any perishable food items. But we typically go when it is much hotter, so I would not want to leave those things in the car. If you are wondering about Magic Bands, now that Disney no longer has free Magic Bands, you can use the same Magic Band for both hotel reservations, provided they are both linked to your My Disney Experience account. You do not need to have two Magic Bands. You can use the same one. Just make sure it is linked to both reservations. Another tip that I have is to consider packing some things in a backpack or a smaller, like duffel bag type suitcase in case you go back to your hotel in the afternoon and you want to go swimming. You want to be able to get your things out rather than having your big checked luggage and going in the bathroom in your hotel lobby and like sifting through that big suitcase to search for your swimsuit and your cover up and sunscreen and things like that. So if I'm doing a split stay in that case, I would probably put those things that I might need in a backpack or small suitcase. And that way you can go to Bell Services and they'll say, hey, your room's not ready yet, because check-in time generally is a little bit later in the day. And oftentimes they do accommodate and they will allow people to check in early, but you don't want to count on that. If they can't, this way you will have your suitcase of things you need. You can just bring a backpack into the bathroom, change, and head out to the pool and swim and hang out there while your room is ready for you. So some of the pros of doing this are that you get to experience multiple hotels. It may save you time if you want to be near a certain park. So for example, if I'm doing a split stay between Animal Kingdom Lodge and the Polynesian, I would schedule the majority of my visits to Animal Kingdom to be while I'm staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge, and then the majority of my visits to the Magic Kingdom or Epcot when I'm staying at the Polynesian. So it just makes sense. Disney World is a very large property, and that can kind of save some time. Additionally, you get to experience multiple hotels and possibly save some money if, like I said, you are staying at a Value or Moderate resort for the first part of your stay and a deluxe for the second part of your stay. And now that is another tip I have for you. Save the more expensive hotel, because it's usually nicer, for the end part of your stay. You would not want to stay at a deluxe or moderate and then move down to a moderate or value resort, respectively. It's going to be glaringly obvious that it's not as nice, and it might not be anything that you would notice to begin with. But I think after going from a really, really nice hotel, it might kind of seem disappointing. So I definitely always recommend to my clients, if at all possible, stay at the less expensive resort first and the more expensive resort second. Now, what are some of the cons? The first one, obviously, is you have to unpack your things and then move your luggage. I am somebody who really likes to unpack at a hotel. I like to pretend I moved into Disney World, and that can be a little bit more difficult if you're doing a split stay, depending on how many days you're staying at each hotel. I also like to stay the second part of my stay, have that be longer than the first part so that I can unpack a little bit more. But that is definitely a factor. You are also losing out on some time at the hotel on your transfer day, because you're going to check out in the morning, but then possibly not be able to check into your second hotel until later in the afternoon, at like 4 p.m. So there is a little bit of time there where you're displaced. And if you want to hang out at your hotel or possibly take a nap or something like that, that could be a bit of an issue. Additionally, if you have 2 hotel reservations, this requires 2 deposits. So say you're doing a package reservation, which is the hotel and tickets for the first part, that would be a $200 deposit with the remaining balance due a month before travel. And then if the second one, if it's just going to be the room only because it works out for you to carry your tickets over for both stays, the cost of the second deposit would be the cost of one night stay with the remaining balance due upon check-in. So it does cost a little bit more upfront in deposits if you're doing a split stay than if you were to just stay at one hotel the entire time. But the overall cost isn't necessarily more, other than if your room just happens to cost more in one of your hotel stays. So that is all the news that I have to share with you guys regarding split stays. Like I said, we've done it several times. We have another split stay coming up. Okay, I guess it's not. I guess coming up is a little dramatic. It's not till like February, but we do have another split stay booked. Like I said, there are pros and cons, but it really does allow us to stay at a more expensive hotel that we are interested in trying or revisiting, but not for the entire trip. And a lot of people do this, so it is definitely possible. So please let me know, fill out my quote form if you guys are interested in booking with me, if this is something you are considering. It can be a little complicated and I am happy to help you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching and I will talk to you next time. Bye guys.